Well, welcome everybody to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is the space and the place where you get to explore what it means to be a spiritual being on this earth at this time. I just want to remind you that if you would like us or subscribe or leave some comments, that helps us stay on the air. I also want to remind you that we are doing something special this season. So if you would go on to our website at yourspiritualjourneypodcast.com and tell us why your spiritual journey should be something that should be on the air with us, one lucky person will get to be a guest on this show. So today's guest is Meir Ezra. He's a multimillionaire, and pretty proud of that fact. He made his first 100 million by age 32. He's an expert in human behavior. He's helped tens of thousands of people and considers himself a spiritual entrepreneur. So we're pretty excited to have him with us, coming all the way from South Africa. So Meir, you know the format that we have. So if you would relate your spiritual journey from childhood until the present day, and then you can talk about some of the things you're doing in the present day. And I will also ask you some questions based on what you've said. So I'm turning the mic over to you. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for everyone listening. I want to start with some background. I was born in a very small town in the north of Israel. It's called Kiryat Shmona. And at that time, for regularly, every night we had about 30 missiles being thrown at us. And it was just a normal thing. People will be bombed and people die and people got hurt, and it was just a normal thing. And I was born with my 2 feet pointing backward, totally 100% backward. And the doctor said that I will not be able to walk. And what they've done, they put me a cast up to the hips. And basically every 3-4 days, my mom would take me to the hospital. They will take the cast off, break the feet a little bit, and put the cast in. And for 6 years, this process went on and on and on. And after 6 years, the feet was pointing forward, but I couldn't walk. I didn't have muscles. I couldn't. Basically, they told me, look, you just say thank you that you look normal, but don't expect much. And at that moment, I had this realization that I'm not my body. I just had this, I'm not my body. And if I could grow the body, it means I can fix the body. The spirit have this ability. And I just had this decision. I didn't tell it to anyone. I just said, okay, fine. I'm going to fix that body.
So how old were you at that realization?
I was 6 years old.
Wow.
I was just totally, it was clear as a day for me that I'm not my body. I just knew that. And I decided, okay, fine, I'm going to fix this body. And I decided that I'm going to fix it. And on a gradient scale, step by step, I fixed different parts. And to cut a long story short, when I got to the age of 18, everyone in Israel got to the army, all the boys and all the girls. And I volunteered to one of the most elite unit in the army. I became a diver. So this course is 2 years. We started 4,000 people, and after 2 years, we left only 21. So it's really, really, really tough course, mentally, physically. And I went through that course with the pain and with the condition of the feet, and I managed to do everything and be the best because I knew I'm not your body. I'm not my body. I just knew I'm not my body. So whenever there was pain, I told the body what to do. Whenever there was pain, I knew that the pain is not me. There's a pain and there's me. And throughout my life, everything I've done was from this viewpoint. I'm the boss. My body is my slave, and not the opposite. I saw most people serving the body, and I use my body. And I tell the body what to do, and I'm telling the body, look, the boss is here. This is what we're going to do. I just came back from the gym, and I just did bench press, and I'm 60-something years old, and I've done 100-kilo bench press, no problem. Okay. Because I tell the body what to do. I was once in a seminar, I was delivering a seminar, and I was explaining this thing to the crowd, and one guy stood up and told me, so in that case, you can do 7 minutes plank. You can tell your body to do 7 minutes plank. Now, I didn't know what planks mean. Never heard that word in English. Like, what does it mean? And he showed me, and I said, fine, I'll do 7 minutes plank. And I went down and I've done 7-minute plank. And when I finished, they asked me, so how did you do that? I said, well, I was cheating. I didn't do 7 minutes plank. I did many 5 seconds. So 5 seconds I can do. 7 minutes I cannot. I did many 5 seconds. And I've done it throughout my life. I told the body, the next 5 seconds, you're going to do that. You're going to do that. I had this 5-second law that I made in my head in the army that, okay, another 5 seconds, you can do that. Another 5 seconds, you can do that.
Okay, and can I ask about that process? How do you talk to your body? Because many people say, okay, I have to go into a meditation. I need to align myself with source. I need to do this step and this step and this step, and then I can talk to my body. What is your process?
Okay, so the process starts with understanding. Anything in this life starts with understanding. You need to understand. So first of all, source mean a nothingness that can bring about somethingness. Source is not physical. It's not an energy. It's not physical. Source is a nothingness that can bring about somethingness. What do I mean? Let's have a look. So,
okay, for those of you listening and not on YouTube, we're getting a demonstration. So we've got a visual up, but you'll have to describe the visual for those not watching, but just listening. Okay, we've lost your sound, Ezra. And I really meant to say Meir. So because this call is over Zoom, we've got a Zoom whiteboard up, which Meir wants to use for demonstrations. But when he gets the whiteboard up, he loses his microphone. So
okay, we are back.
Okay. Good to
Sorry
have you
about
back.
That. Sure what's going on here. Okay. So there is a beginning. In the physical universe, there is a start, change, and stop. Everything starts somewhere. Now, the word beginning was not here before. If I say that the iPhone started in 2000 and whenever, it means a second before that there was no iPhone. If our relationship started today, a second before that it was not here before. So we have a beginning, and then there is time, and time seems to go on and on and on. Now, if I look at the physical universe, if I say that this is the physical universe, to the right of the line is the physical universe, I can say that the physical universe is anything that composes of 2. Why? Because the smallest number in the physical universe is 2. For every plus, there is minus. For every force, there is counter force. In order to have big, you need small. In order to have ugly, you need beautiful. There is every single thing in the physical universe composed of 2. And when you say, yes, but there is one heart, a heart is an idea. This thing that called heart is composed of many 2s. Every atom is composed of electron and proton. So if everything in the physical universe is composed of 2, it means that it started with 2, and what created the 2 is not composed of 2. What created the iPhone cannot be the iPhone. What created our relationship is not the relationship. So once you really understand that, you know that the things that create which we call at the moment the spirit or Elan Vitae or life source or source, people give it a lot of names. Whatever this name, that source is this thing that can bring something out of nothing. And something is anything that composed of 2. Now, the moment that you realize that the more you rely on the physical universe, the worse you get.
Okay, my question then is, how did you come to this realization?
Oh,
where did that thought come from?
So I looked, and I first of all had one day this thing of, wow, the physical universe composed of 2. I just this because someone told me, I'm spiritual, I'm doing energy work. And I asked the person, okay, so explain to me what's energy mean. And he couldn't explain to me. I said, okay, fine. So explain to me what is force. What's the difference between energy, force, power? Just explain to me. And he couldn't explain. So I needed to explain to that person what energy mean. And energy mean is the following. If you have like a big step and here at the top, you have some kind of weight. Energy mean, this is a potential, yes? This is a potential, and it can release. It can release energy. The moment that you lose potential, you release energy. Energy is just the release of potential. So every time you use energy, obviously, you lose your power. You take an engine, every moment that you use your tank, you lose your potential. You can drive less kilometers. So when I looked at that and I said, okay, fine. So how do I explain to that person that energy is actually not spirituality? I'm sorry, because just by definition, it's something physical. It's something that in the physical universe moves. It's an actual movement of particles. And I said, okay, fine, let me see how I explain to him. So what is the physical universe? So I said, what is the physical universe? And I didn't have the answer when I asked it. But when he couldn't answer, I knew that the physical universe is composed of 2, because the smallest number in the universe is 2. It just was clear to me. So what created the 2 cannot be the 2.
We often call that oneness.
Yeah, so, and this, yeah, that's correct. Here we call it 1, but actually it's inaccurate to call it 1 because it's not 2. We cannot prove that it's 1, but we can prove that it's not 2. We can prove that it is something that can bring about, that it's nothing that can bring about something. So this thing that called source or spirit, and later on we'll go to the different definition of what is source and what is spirit, because there is not 2 words that has the same definition in the whole English dictionary or any dictionary. And if you cannot separate, how do you get something to be insane? You make something to be insane when everything is equal everything. I'm Jewish, so it means that I'm rich, so it's mean that I'm stingy, so it's mean that no, it's nonsense. Not all Jewish are rich, and not all Jewish are stingy, and not all Jewish are anything. If I look at that and I think that this pen is a snake, I'm cuckoo. So when you start to say that everything or anything equal to anything, you are cuckoo. How people become powerful by separating. If I take a piece of metal and I can break it down to the smallest particles, separating the particles, now I become cause over the piece of metal. But when I look at just a piece of metal and I say it's a piece of metal, I'm the effect of the metal. I can do nothing with it. How do I change things? By understanding the component parts of the thing. And once you understand that the physical universe is just things that compose of two, and the boss is you, because if we had the beginning and time, and I created 2, and then I created 4, and then 16, and then 64, and 256, etc., it means that the more I rely on this thing, the less powerful I am. Why? Because when I have something that happened here, and then I said, this caused that. Oops, the camera just died on me. I don't know what's happening today. Technically, we have all this nonsense going on. So when I say that we have a beginning, 2 particles here, and these 2 particles cause that, and these 2 particles cause that, and these 2 particles cause that, etc., etc., you see that every time that you say that there is a reason, or what I call prior cause, every time you say there is a reason, you become weaker. Why? Because every one of these reason tells you about a limitation. And the only reason people actually excel and improve is because they said, the hell with the reason. Everyone say, you cannot fly. Okay, I decide I can fly. The Wright brothers decide, yes, we can fly, because they took the experience, throw it away, and said, I can create flying. So in order for a person to improve, to become spiritual, he needs to release himself from the burden of his past, from the physical universe. Only once you learn how to remove your past will you improve. And it doesn't take meditation, because if meditation was so powerful, India will be the most successful country in the universe. And we see that while you take Buddhism, and Buddhism brought a civilization to the world, they're still failing. So to sit on a stone and get rheumatism do not actually explain what happened. You're still an effect, you are not cause. You're sitting there waiting for something to happen. But if you realize that there is an actual method to remove your past, actual method, proven method that you can understand, not believe. You don't need to sit there and believe that it will happen. You understand how it works. All of a sudden, you become cause, and the physical universe become your puppet, and not the opposite. So right now, most people are puppet, the physical universe.
Okay, in the parlance of much of the spiritual world, that concept of releasing your past has to do with living in the now, or being in the present moment.
Define for me the word now.
The present moment.
Define it. That's just a synonym. Define for me the word now, because by the time you say present moment, it's
gone. Right.
At the speed of light, it didn't go. It's gone at the speed of light. So it's nonsense. To say to live in the now is just to say any other nonsense, because you cannot be in the now, because there's no now in the physical universe. In a place that always moves, on a planet that moves, with everything moving at the speed of light, to say the now without understanding what is now is nonsense. Why? Because in the physical universe, there is no now. You cannot stop the physical universe.
Okay.
So if you don't know what is now, you can say a lot of things, yes, I need to be in the now. And all those people that say I live to live in the now, actually failing. Because when I just press the right button, they go cuckoo. So they're not so much in the now, regardless of what they say. Or how I say, regardless of what they parrot, because they heard it from someone. If you cannot define the words that you say, you are parroting something you heard. And when you don't have knowledge, obviously you don't have control. If I don't know how to drive a car, I cannot control the car controls me. And what does it mean, knowledge? Knowledge is the sum of all the words and symbols you have the correct definition for. It's not the number of words you say, it's the number of words that you have the correct definition for. It's not the certificates that you have on the wall. It's the number of words that you actually have definition for, because you will demonstrate control. So what is now? Now actually is before time. And the only way for you to be before time is to remove this past. Now is before time, because you can define the word now at the span of time that you have total control over. The span of time that you have total control over is only the thing that you create, thing that you bring something out of nothing. And for as long as you rely on something, you cannot be on now.
So let me get this straight. So the now is the moment I create?
No, it's before time. Because the moment that you say I created it, it's already not now. It's in the physical universe. Thank you very much. Gone. Started to move.
Okay,
Now
I can understand that concept of before time, because both time and space are constructs of the human mind, and actually they don't necessarily exist, time or space.
Wonderful. They are not construct of the human mind, because let's define the word mind. If this is a person, he has a mind. Mind is just a series of pictures that you take. Every second you take 25 pictures. Every pictures have 57 perception, and it's just pictures. Your mind is picture. When I tell you, do you like milk? You go look at all the pictures of milk, and you come back to me and you say, yes, I like milk. You look at the picture. This is mind. It's nothing to do with the mind. Mind is just the way to make you an effect. This is where you hold your past. Actually, it's your state of being. This is your spiritual state, which means your nothingness. So your nothingness is perfect, because nothing is perfect, because it can create anything. So you can say that the only thing wrong with the person is the fact that he has a mind. The more you rely on the mind, the worse you will get.
Okay.
Because you never worried about anything other than what happened in the past or what will never come, which is the future. So when you become you bring about something out of nothing, not because of what's happening in your mind. When you have an emergency, you can define emergency as a moment of heightened willingness, which means heightened willingness to act as yourself without relying on your past.
Okay.
An emergency is a moment of heightened willingness. You are willing to be yourself, which means perfect. I have this saying that says that you are perfect. A person is always perfect, and anything that is not perfect is not you. It's either your mind or the physical universe or your considerations or an entity or whatever. There is all kind of things that we need, of course, to learn. We cannot cover everything in half an hour or an hour. But the basic idea is, when you are you, the physical universe is not important, and the mind is a picture that can be measured, and it's just a physical universe thing. It actually can be measured. It's not even complicated to measure it. You take a person and tell him to get on a scale, a sensitive scale, and you tell him to remember bad memories, which mean to bring from his mind bad pictures, and you will see that he gets heavy, and you'll see that people that have a bad time, they feel heavy, and the scale goes up. And if you tell him to remember, or if you force him to laugh and remember beautiful moments, the scale go down. It's quite amazing that your weight, your physical weight change, because those pictures are physical and they weigh on you. So the mind, again, as I said, the definition of the words is the key, the separation between the mind, the spirit, entities, brain, etc., etc. If you don't have an exact definition of each one of those words, you will get worse, while saying that you get better. But you inside deeply know, I'm not reaching my full potential. I'm not reaching my goals.
Okay.
So I know that what I'm saying is extremely different, but once you start to understand it, you start to realize that really your purpose should be to become spiritual, but you become spiritual by finding a way to eliminate, to delete those pictures. Because right now you are here somewhere in time, and you'll see that when you're born, you are here, you have a lot of potential because you have a very little past. As you grow, you accumulate more and more past, which means more and more limitations. And you'll see that you die at the moment where your limitation exceed. When your limitation exceed your creation. When your last dreams die, you are dead. Now, most of the people die at the age of probably 15, 16. They get buried at the age of 80, but they died at 15, 16. You die, I'm talking about the person die here, 15, 16, 18. They continue an automatic just as a machine, as a body. They try not to die. They are not living for many, many, many years later. And then they get buried. They actually need a moment of heightened willingness to die. They need to improve in order to die. They are so low that in order to die, they need to raise a bit. They need an accident or they need something to happen that actually stronger, that actually make them push stronger. So they're actually raising. It sounds weird, but you will see that if you go to a person that is unconscious and you just speak to him and close for him all kinds of cycles from the past, you just close for him, you just forgive him and close for him cycles from the past, all of a sudden he will say, okay, fine, I can die now, and he will leave.
Okay, I get it.
So the question, of course, is how do you remove the past? This is the $1 million question. And it's actually quite simple. The basic idea is quite simple, and the application is even simpler. And any one of my thousands of students that do that demonstrate result. How do I know that they actually did it? Because the moment that you remove the past, your physical existence will improve. You will have more money, your relationship will improve, your health will improve. If that's not happening and you just feel well, it's good, it's better than nothing, but it's not result. If you don't demonstrate control over the game that we are playing, which is called the physical universe, so you feel good, but you can also take drugs and feel good. So it's not really the solution, yes? Yeah. It's nonsense. So the solution is that you demonstrate control over the environment. And uniformly, if you look at my website, you will go and you'll see the success story. Every single person that studied this system, the end result is improved life, improved income, improved body, improved relationship. And what I do, because I know that it works, any person that comes to study with me, if they don't get those results that they define at the beginning, they don't pay me. I pay them. I pay them damages.
All right. Let me back you up a little bit, because we're talking about your spiritual journey, and at some point, beside what happened to you when you were 6 years old, and some of this realization came to you that you are not your body. You grew up in Israel, yes?
Yep.
So you had a Jewish family, and you grew up Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
As you came to some of these realizations, did you see a conflict with your upbringing, with your Jewish upbringing, and how did your family respond to your realizations, or did you just not share them?
Okay. So first of all, I shared everything. I don't withhold them. I communicate, because a man is as alive as he communicates. And actually, everything I say, if it's true, and since I know that the Bible, the New Testament, any one of the religions have the basic religions are true, and people mess them up. People misunderstand the word. Mm-hmm. So if we take the Jewish religion, the book starts with, at the beginning there was the word. Now people don't understand that the word means just you need to define the words. Because if you don't define the word, this is the beginning. If you don't understand the word, if you're just a parrot, you're not going to succeed. When God got pissed off with the Jewish people that built the Tower of Babel, he just mixed the word. And that was the end of any progress. And yet today, every person that you come to, you tell him, look, you need to understand the word. And he says, well, I have my definition. If you have my definition and I have my definition, we are not in communication, because I say, I love you, and you think that I say, I don't like you. I say to my wife, bring me water, and she brings cyanide. It doesn't work so well. So we need a definition for the words, yes? A very exact definition. So there could be separation and there could be duplication, there could be communication. So that's number one. You look further at the Bible and it says, God bring something out of nothing. So if you are realizing that God is this thing that can bring something out of nothing, and if you realize that you are at least made in the image of God, which means you are spiritual as well, so obviously you have that capability. And now, if you look at everything I'm actually saying, what I do, I'm an engineer. My viewpoint is an engineer viewpoint. And I take the physical universe, understand, oops, we have again the camera. Okay, we'll fix it within a second. And so I take the engineer viewpoint and I say, okay, fine. So as an engineer, I can totally handle the physical universe, but senior to the engineer is the spirit. So people can very easily agree, and they talk about, they don't understand, but they agree to the physical universe law. I ask any person about physical universe law, and they will tell me, well, there's Ohm law and there's gravity, and they will tell me about different physical universe law. And I say, okay, good, that's really good, assuming you understand them. Now, tell me about one spiritual universe law. And they say, what? They don't know. Because for them, everything is physical. So when I started my father was a rabbi, and when I started to talk to him about it, I told him, look, you have to gain control. The Bible said that there is a process of a person born, grow, and die. This is start, change, stop. So if the cycle is start, change, stop, it means that if you start something and you change something and you didn't stop it, you're going to lose control. And most people, most of the time, have open cycles in their life. They start a lot of things. They change a lot of things. They cannot close. And the more open cycles you have in your life, the more past you have. Things that you've totally completed will not stay in your past. It will go. It will not be something that you will have any attention of. So what happened? You've got a person, he born, and I told my father, look, a person born, and he borns with lots of processes. Okay? Lots of processes. It's like a computer. And in a computer, when you start to open programs, the more programs you open, the slower it gets. And if you open more programs, the computer will crash. It's the same with the person. You start to open a cycle of action that you didn't close. You need to tell your mom that you stole from her purse some money. You didn't tell her. You have a word that you did not fully understand. You have an email that you need to answer. You didn't clean the dishes. Every time you open a cycle of action, one of those processes get employed. And the more processes get employed, the slower you get, the weaker you get, and the less spiritual you get. Why? Because the spirit is this thing that put those processes there. And if all the processes are employed, you are useless, and the physical universe is the boss. So the bigger the physical universe, the smaller you are. The smaller the physical universe, the less importance you give to the physical universe, the bigger you become. And most people, most of the time, really put all the attention on the physical universe. The physical universe is the Bible. And I started to explain that to my father, and we had lots and lots and lots of arguments and discussions and looking at the books. And eventually he realized that it's true. He actually realized, he told me that the problem of the Jewish people is while they're very educated, they don't actually understand all the words. And when you don't understand the words, you have frictions and you have all kind of sects. So the religion breaks, and instead of having cohesive group that can win anything, you start to break down to small groups. And instead of fighting the external enemy, you become insane and you start to fight your own group. When a group becomes insane, when it starts to fight internally instead of externally. Mankind is insane because you fight between countries instead of fighting the stars, which is external. So once you understand that, things start to improve. His life started to improve. He realized that I'm doing things that by the age of 13, I started to teach electronics. I made more money than him and my mother combined by the age of 13. And all of those things happen because of this understanding, not parroting words, but understanding what is the physical universe, what is the spiritual universe, what are the laws of the physical universe, what are the laws of the spiritual universe. How do you actually become senior and stop being an effect and crying that you have bad luck or sitting somewhere meditating hoping that something will happen? No, I want to do something active that bring result 100%. If it's 99%, I know I'm dealing with bullshit. If the result is not 100%, if it's 99%, I know 100% that I'm dealing with lies.
It would seem to me that your father, the rabbi, as he understood the genius of his son and what he was able to explain and communicate, that he would really want you to become a rabbi. Was there pressure on you to do that, to follow in his footsteps?
Every day. And I was very willing, and I went and I've learned. I did learn and I did read. I read and I've learned, and I've sat with different rabbis and different very smart people, and every person that told me that I'm a genius, I told them in return that I'm not a genius. They're accepting mediocrity as the normal. The spirit is perfect. I'm not a genius. They accept mediocrity as a normal, and this is not okay. You should not accept mediocrity as a normal. And I proved to him that anyone can be, or should be, not can be a genius, because if this is all the knowledge in the universe, all the knowledge in the universe can be communicated by sentences. So if you understood all the sentences, there is no such thing as complicated knowledge. And sentences are only composed of words and symbols. So if I understand all the words and symbols, I will understand all the sentences and I will understand the knowledge. So there is no such thing as something complex or something that requires me to be a genius or anything like that. The only thing there is you really need to fully understand the words so you can communicate, because once you can communicate, you bring about duplication.
Okay. That's one of the, I guess, amazing things is that you do understand that you are perfect. And that is a difficult concept for many people to wrap their minds around. It's a conclusion that I think makes people fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I accept the fact that I'm perfect, then I have to live as though I'm perfect.
Yeah.
And there's a responsibility that seems to come with that uh, scares people. I
True.
would rather be able to rely on imperfection and say, well, who's perfect? I'm only human.
It's quite amazing what you said from various aspects. Number one, the moment that you realize that you are perfect and anything that is not perfect is not you, you can handle things that are not you. Number two, you also realize that while you fix machine by finding what's wrong with them, people you fix by finding what's right with them. Because they are perfect and they just don't know that they are perfect. Only once you know that you are perfect, you will become senior to all those things that are not perfect. So while you fix people by finding what's wrong with them, you will see that the only way to fix, machine finding what's wrong with them, the only way to fix people is by finding what's right with them. And unfortunately, most people instinctively, because they believe the physical universe so much, they find what's wrong with you and they tell you this is constructive criticism. There is no such thing as constructive criticism. Criticism just destroys. I'm a singer, and when I go on stage and I sing and I go back off stage and I come to my wife and I say, wow, how was it? What I actually mean is, do you agree that I was amazing? I don't want to hear any criticism. I didn't see any person that said, yes, criticize me. I want to know how wrong I was. The more you make me wrong, the better I feel. No, you make a person wrong and he will kill you. You make a person right and he will kill for you.
Yeah.
So, and then about fear, most of the people say that they have different definition for the word fear. But the actual definition, in my view, of the word fear is a state of imperception. When you're afraid, you don't perceive. You're blind. So almost anything you're afraid of do not exist, because at the time of being fear, you are blind. When you're afraid, you run away. You don't look at the fear. So when I was in the army and I've learned how to fight, one of the main things that we've learned, that if you don't want to die, don't be afraid. Because when you're afraid, you don't look. And when you don't look, they will shoot you.
Yeah.
So in life, if you really understand that fear is just an unwillingness to confront, unwillingness to communicate, when you're afraid, this is the time to look harder, to know that you don't know.
Yeah.
Because fear is just a state of imperception.
So tell me, since you brought up your army experience, right now as we speak, there's a war going on in Israel, and there's an effort to eliminate Hamas. There are people dying daily, mostly Palestinians. And it seems to me that somewhere in this discussion, you may have a resolution to that situation. And I am curious to know if you were the advisor right now to the leaders in Israel, what would your advice be?
Okay. So first of all, when you have a problem and the problem doesn't resolve, you need to know that you're trying to solve the wrong problem. The conflict between Israel and the Arab world has been going on for a long time. So obviously we're trying to solve the wrong problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have the immediate situation right now with Hamas and a war, fine, not a problem. But the actual source of the problem is something else. The actual source of the problem is that in order to have two people fighting, there must be a third person or third group, unknown, hidden, that actually fuel continuously the fight. And when you go to sit down and after the war or in between wars, and you go to sit down and communicate, most people communicate about what they've done to each other. Talk about who is doing, not what. Find who is the person that actually makes sure that this war is keep on going on. And if you will be brave enough to forget for a second of you did that to me and I did that to you and I'm right and you are wrong, but who told you that? Who, not what. I don't care so much about what. Who told you that I'm bad? Who told you that she's bad? I'll give you an example, a very simple example that happened to me a few years ago. I was living in Florida. My wife was pregnant and her mom came to visit us. She came from South Africa and she was living with us. And I was just, my wife was pregnant and I really wanted her to eat. And I told her, I was sitting in a dinner and I told her, honey, you really need to eat more. And she looked at me, she gave me the look that I knew that I'm in the doghouse. She didn't have to say too much. So I said, okay, fine. And I took her to the side. I went with her to the room and I said, okay, so who told you that I said something bad about you? And she said, no, did you hear what you say? You say that I need to eat too much, that I need to eat more. You want me to be fat. You think that I'm fat. I said, I don't get into the argument of the insanity. This is cuckoo-ness, all she's saying. So who told you that I said something bad? She said, no, forget about all your genius questions. I'm telling you what happened in dinner. I said, I understand what happened in dinner, but I want you to tell me who. I want a name. Who told you? And I pulled and she told me, okay, my mom told me that I've put on weight. And you think that I'm fat. And I said, okay, thank you for telling me. I called her mom. I told to her mom, what did I tell you? And she said, you told me that she put on weight and you love the way she looks. And you wish that she will eat more because the baby will be better and it will be better. And she in any case look amazing. And I said, but what did you tell her? She said, I told her that you said that she looks good and she left the room and got upset and she didn't hear the rest. So the moment that you find who say that, you can clear up the mess. So the first thing to actually remove the problem, you need to find who is actually fueling the problem, because the heads of the Hamas making money out of this war, the Israelis getting revenge, the Americans selling weapons. There's a lot of people that making money and profiting from the constant bad relationship between the Israelis and the Arabs, and especially the Palestinians. So if we want to solve the problem, we need to find who is fueling the problem when there is a moment of sanity. That's number one. That's the actual solution. You need to know when you try to solve a problem and the problem doesn't get solved, the problem that you try to solve is the wrong problem. Second, as to the immediate situation right now, the immediate situation right now should be Hamas must go, 100%. No question. There is a war, and in war there is casualties, regardless of the both side casualties. The war need to be 100%, not 99%, 100% decisive. Japan surrendered. Hitler killed himself. It needs to be 100%. No question. Surrender, or by Israel or by Hamas, whoever win. I think Israel will win. And at that moment, to build Gaza and to give the Palestinian a state that they can prosper, like Germany after the war, like Japan after the war, we need to make sure that they are prosperous, and that starts with education. You need to educate them. They are too uneducated at the moment, so they're too poor, and so they are willing to accept anything that they hear and parrot it without understanding. I have a lady that I spoke to that she's a very good friend, and she like really got upset with me because I support Israel. And I said, okay, fine, no problem. Sit. Where is Gaza on the map? She couldn't show it. I said, okay, fine, not a problem. It's a small place, hard to find. Where is Israel? She couldn't say. When you chant, and I'm calling it when you parrot, from the river to the sea, from which river to which sea? She couldn't say. She couldn't name the river. She doesn't know. It's from the Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea. And what happened between the river and the sea? What do we have there? She didn't know that it's the state of Israel. And what will happen if we take from the river to the sea? What will happen with the Jewish people? They will be exterminated or exiled or something like that, which you say that we're doing it. So what's not good for you is good for us. And when you say apartheid, what does it mean, apartheid? Define for me the word apartheid. And she said, apartheid, I don't know what is it. Apartheid is a separation of people based on the race or color or belief. And in Israel, the Arabs are having exactly the same rights as any other Jew. We have Arabs in the high court, we have Arabs in the government, we have doctors, they have the same right. So once you start to explain to a person what they actually say and stopping from being a parrot and turning into actual person, you see that problem gets solved very quickly. Because disagreements are disagreements about lies, when there are lies involved. And the lies are always with the definition of the words. Always, somehow there is a twist in the word. Someone say, well, there was no that. You can argue about it was 7 people or 10 people. Well, many more people dying in Gaza. Okay, so what do you want us to do? To turn off the Iron Dome and let you send in the last 10 years on Israel something around 40,000 missiles. 40,000 missiles. The fact that the Jewish people are smart and develop the Iron Dome, what should we do? Turn off the Iron Dome so you kill a lot of people so we'll say that it's fair? No, you send the missile. If you hit or not, it's the same. The fact that we are more accurate than we're hitting. Now you send missiles on citizens. Your intention is to go in and to kill citizens. What's the difference between the Hamas and Hitler? Hitler at least tried to hide what he's doing. The Hamas came up with the GoPro and actually was proud of what he was doing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. I know I'm the one who opened this can of worms, but I really wanted to hear your take on that.
Yeah.
So we're just about out of time. So I can give you 2 minutes to leave the audience with whatever words of wisdom you'd like to leave them with. And I'll let the audience know that all your contact information will be on my website so that they can find you and explore further some of these concepts that you brought up today. It's just been a wonderful time with you. I appreciate everything that you're doing and talking about and all the people you've helped. But if you could give us 2 minutes of wisdom, then we have to go.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, first of all, and for everyone that's listening. And if someone will ask me what is the most important thing for them in order to improve, I will tell them, number one, realize that if something is complex, it contains lies. Make things simple. If it's complex, if your husband comes to you and give you this complicated story, he's lying. Don't think too much. Number two, your experience is your enemy. Your experience is your enemy. It is actually the sum of all your limitations. That's my definition of the word experience. Hello. Someone join us. So it's the sum of all your limitations. The third thing that I will really want you to understand, that if you continue to find what's wrong with people, you will become what you see. So you become what you put your attention on. If you put your attention on what's wrong, you will be wrong. And that coupled with the only way to fix people is by finding what's right with them. If you start to find what's right about people, find something to admire about them, you will see that with no time, barriers, problems will just melt away. And the last thing that I will tell you is that in order to succeed in this universe, you have to be able to win, or to be willing to win and lose with the same level of enthusiasm.
That's marvelous. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Audience, as always, take what resonates with you and see what you can do with it, and put the rest on the shelf until you're ready to deal with it, and then bring it back off the shelf. Until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.